Hi and welcome. Today I am featuring the Butterfly Bliss Garden Shutters 5x7 die set from Spellbinders. I was invited by Janis Makula to create something with this die set. So let's get started. This set includes several rectangle shaped dies of various sizes, a special shutter die, a fancy window die, several butterfly dies, as well as little layers that you can use to create special effects on the butterfly wings, the sentiment, "But what if you fly?" and a little handle that says pull, so the person who receives the card knows to pull in order to open the card. In addition to your card base, you will need 3 5x7 pieces of paper. You can use pattern paper or a combination of pattern paper and a piece of solid cardstock. Whatever you would like to use will work. This Butterfly Bliss Garden Shutters die set creates a 5x7 card. I have some 12x12 pattern paper in my stash. I am trimming 2 different sheets down to 5x7, and I did speed this section up a little bit for the sake of time, but you will see as when I go to cut with the dies exactly the pattern paper that I'm using, both the front and the back of each pattern paper. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with the most important die of this set. This is the die that actually makes the windows that actually open and close like shutters. So you want to line this up with the top right hand corner of your piece of pattern paper. So you want to make sure that the edge is touching the line, both where that L is at the top and on the edge. As you can see, I made sure mine was lined up straight before I send it through my Gemini Junior. And now we have it ready. This is our first cut, and it creates the type of fold that we need to have our shutters. Now, the next step is really important. You want to line up that shutter die where the dots are for the cut we just made. There's actually a dot like a hole, a very small hole, where you are lining up the holes on the die plate with the holes on the paper. This is going to help keep all those shutters in a straight line. And what I do is make sure that it's nice and lined up. I make sure that I can see through the holes in the back. That way I know that I'm spot on. I'm using some yellow tape from Spellbinders. This yellow tape is called the best craft tape ever, and I would have to agree, it is my favorite. And I will have everything that I'm using in this video linked below in my description box. You see, I'm just double checking everything just to make sure that I have everything perfectly lined up before sending it through my die cut machine. Off camera, I sent that through my machine, and now I'm carefully removing that L-shaped rectangle die. And I will line it up one more time so that I have my final window on my piece of paper. Again, the die has little holes that you line up with the holes on the paper. You make sure that the L is on the edge of the paper, and this will keep your shutters in line so that your card recipient can open and close the shutters on your card. All right, I'm going to remove this tape from this bottom layer of the shutters, and then this section and this part of the card will be completed. This is the section that opens and closes like a shutter window. You'll see I'm folding down those little tabs. Those are going to be the feet that are going to provide the mechanism for the shutters to open and close. Once you put your little feet down, then you just flip your little window up. And then you'll see you have a reverse side that is showing, And I chose something that was bold for my reverse side. And I think I did a really nice job. Everything's lined up really nice. And everything is folded the correct way. And now I'll be able to go on to the next step, which is adhering this piece of die cut paper to another piece of paper of your choice. I'm using some temporary adhesive here. I will go back and use permanent adhesive before I finish this card. Just be careful when you're putting on this temporary tape. You don't want to rip your little legs or your little feet. My tape was having a hard time coming out of the dispenser, so I just got the bare minimum out of it just so that I would have a little bit of tack to those little feet as I'm lining them up with a piece of paper. And again, you could have a different color paper underneath here. I just went with a solid matching color. That is completely up to you. That's what's so fun about this die. You can have so many wonderful combinations when you create this card. Now you need to take the large single rectangle and line it up with those shutter windows. If you line it up, there will be a point where it will just snuggle itself right down inside of there. And now you have to decide what color paper do you want for your top layer or the frame of your card. So you've got your die here. I have it with the cutting side facing up. I'm going to take 2 pieces of this washi tape that is from Spellbinders, best craft tape ever. I'm going to apply it to the non-cutting side of my rectangle die and then lay it back down into the little snuggle point, I'll call it, around those shutters. That way you've got your tape there ready to stick to a piece of paper of your choosing. Now that is a trick that I learned from my friend Nancy Stamps when she created a card using this die set. All right, so this is what I'm going for. I'm going to apply this. This is actually the side you will not see because you'll see what I'm talking about here. Once I get the paper to stick, I flip, and now I'm ready to cut it with my die cut machine. All right, so I sent that piece of paper through my die cut machine. Let's remove the tape, revealing our open frame that will go right on top of the piece that has the shutters. When you remove this and have your open frame, you're going to be left with a nice piece of pattern paper in a rectangle that you can use for another project. I went in again with some temporary tape around the back of my frame just to make sure everything lines up well. And then I will have to use a permanent adhesive to finish this. And actually the second card that I made, I didn't even bother with the temporary tape. I just lined everything up and went in and glued it. And the glue has a little bit of wiggle time and I didn't have any problem with it. So now everything's coming together. You can really see how this works, right? And the exciting part is I think this makes for a super special card for a special occasion. And I created my card for someone who was turning 100 years old. That's right. We have a friend who is from our church. She lives on her own and she turned 100. And on Saturday, just a couple days ago, her family had a big party for her in our church social hall. And I created a shutter card for her. And I made it purple. And her name is Violet, and she likes purple. And the social hall was decorated in all things purple. So I think that my theme of my card was a good match. And I think, you know, a fancy card like this, a special card like this, you know, for a special occasion, I think it's something to celebrate. And I created hers as my second card. This is the first card that I made. So as my second card, I made one for her. And instead of using the sentiments that came with the stamp set, I used Happy Birthday and Celebrate from Spellbinders. I will have pictures of my second card I will not show you me making my second card because it's basically the same steps that I used to make my first card. Now here I'm just making sure everything is glued down nice and firm, making sure that I burnish those little feet, and just making sure that these windows are going to open and close the correct way. This is the part I love, putting the pattern paper over top of the frame. I think it just creates that beautiful finishing touch, and you can really see how special this type of card is for a special person in your life, whether it be a wedding or anniversary or a birthday for somebody who's a special friend. Now the dies that come with it say, "But what if you fly?" And that's also a very inspirational and encouraging sentiment. So if you have somebody who's going through a tough time, you could always use those sentiments on this type of card, this card. Now you see I'm putting the glue down along the edges so that it stays put. And this is really simple and everything lines up really nice. So I'm super pleased with how this is turning out so far. All right, off camera, I adhered everything down to that 5x7 card base. You can see how I'm making those shutters go up and down without any problems. Now we need to include this little sign that says pull so that the person who receives this knows that they need to pull up in order to open, or you can have it at the bottom and have them pull down. So what I did was I used some of this purple paper that I had as a scrap, ran it through my die cut machine and got my little pull tab. I also used white paper to cut out the words pull, which is a little die that comes with this set. Because that purple paper was just on regular cardstock, I took a piece of heavier cardstock and adhered it to that so that this pull tab is a little firm. And when you grab a hold of it, you've got something substantial. And here we have the words pull. I'm just going to trim this with my trimmer and put it right on top. Alternately, you could actually use the die on the purple paper and then line it with the white paper so that the white shows through. That's what I did on my second card. So I would say this is probably the only mistake I made on my first card, the way I put this little pull sentiment on the pull tab. I did a little bit differently the second time, which just is a little bit more clean looking. Now, once you have this ready, you want to glue it and adhere it to the top of your card in a fashion that it sort of is tucked behind the paper. You don't want it on top. You want it to be behind. It just looks cleaner that way. So this just takes a minute for me to line everything up and make sure that everything is straight. And then I hold that a little bit just to get the the glue to stick and adhere. I want it to be a strong bond so that no matter how strong the person is that pulls on this card is going to stay together and bring smiles to everybody who opens it. I think it looks really good. Now we're going to fancy it up a bit by taking our filigree. This reminds me I call it a window. It has a filigree and then it has a rectangle that you use to cut it out. You can use any color that you would like. And I decided to use a glitter cardstock. I'm trying to decide whether I want to put it on the inside or the outside. I pick the outside because the inside is a little bit busy the way that it is. I'm sorry to say that my camera stopped recording when I was putting together the final touches of my card. So I have a still photo here that you can see. I used a white glitter cardstock to cut out the filigrees, which I'm calling the filigrees, that are on the top of the front shutters. And I also used a glitter cardstock of purple for the butterflies and gold foil cardstock for the bodies of the butterflies. Here's another picture of the finished card. Standing upright, you can see how those shutters look. Again, I'm so sorry that I did not get a chance to film me putting on the final touches, but you're going to see here in a second me actually opening up the card so you can see what it says on the inside. All right, here we go, the moment we've been waiting for. Yay, it works. Yeah, it's a great card. I put the sentiment, but what if you fly? I cut that with white cardstock and put it on the inside of my shutters where I have that pattern paper that's a little bit bolder. And I think it really pops. I think it looks great. Again, I want to thank Spellbinders and Yana Smakola for this opportunity to participate in demonstrating this wonderful die. I will have some still shots now of the other card that I made. If you're new to my channel, I'd love it if you would subscribe. Please hit the thumbs up button and please leave a comment. What do you think about this shutter die that creates this beautiful card? Let me know your thoughts. I really enjoy receiving your comments and I do read each and every one. Again, thanks so much for watching. Have a hopeful day. Bye-bye.